Hello and welcome to another Meat Rubber Gaming video. In this one I'm going to look at doing some battle damage, this sort of thing. One or two people were asking what the process was to make your mechs look proper scuffed up, like they've fought the first 2/3 of a campaign already. The good news is that it's really easy. It's super easy to do. You don't need to be a good painter. I'm not a good painter. I'm scrappy and I'm lazy, and I really love quick solutions that deliver good results. You know, I want the models to look pretty good on the tabletop. I hate playing with bare plastic or bare metal. I want my models to be painted. I want them to be painted quickly, and I want them to look okay at arm's length. And this kind of battle damage approach is just perfect because it's quick, it's easy, and it looks pretty cool. I've got some pre-painted, or not pre-painted, undercoated mechs here, ready to go, just so we can see exactly how it's done. All you're going to need for this really is one of them, just one of those kind of kitchen sponges that you've probably got under the sink, and you want to pull off bits like that. So we're going to start on this yellow guy, this locust, because he's going to show up really nicely. We'll see the battle damage straight away on him. A quick note, if you've done lots of highlighting and stuff on the mech and some detail work and some decals, and you haven't done battle damage, and you're really nervous about doing this because you think you're going to cover up all your good work, you can varnish the model and then do the battle damage, and if the battle damage goes wrong, you can just remove the paint and the varnish will protect the layers underneath. That's the theory. I don't do that because I'm lazy, so I just like to wing it and let whatever happens happen. But if you want to do the battle damage before you do the detail work, that's fine. If you want to do the battle damage after you've done the detail work, that's fine too. Bear in mind though, I mean, I do the battle damage usually afterwards. You can end up covering up your good work and having to go back and redo it. Whereas if you do it on an undercoated model that hasn't had the detail work done, you know you're not going to have to redo that detail work because you've already done the battle damage. So it's up to you what you want to do first. So we're going to start with this guy and do a little bit of scuffing up. So we're going to rip a little bit of this off. That's probably the hardest part of the whole process, is just tearing off a chunk of this. So we've got a nice big chunk there. It's probably a bit too big, so we're just going to rip it down because you don't need that much. That'll do. The first thing you've got to do really is decide on the colour for this. Now there's a two-step process to what I've done on these guys. If you're doing this on a tank like a Land Raider or something, then it's a three-step process, which I'll go through at the end if I remember. I probably won't remember. Things this size, two-step process is fine. So you want, first of all, these dark patches, which you can see, maybe he's not the best example, maybe he's the best example. You can see some of the dark patches just on the edge. Some of them look like burn patches and some of them are silver flecks. So it looks as though the paint has been ablated, it's been burnt, and you can see the metal underneath. So you want to do the brown first because you want the silver to show on the very edges. To get that, it's a mixture of Doombull Brown and Abaddon Black. Now you can find easy alternatives to these if you don't use Citadel paints. Black is black. Doombull Brown, it's worth noting if you're going to use like Vallejo or something else and find a substitute for it, that it's a reddy brown. So it's got an accent to it. So if you're going to put it on a model like this, for example, you're not going to want to use Doombull Brown in the mix because it's going to be reddy brown mixed in with that black. So really you want to get a green mixed in with the black and do a very dark green. Or a very dark brown that's got a more of a sort of earthy tone to it and less of a fiery tone. Doombull Brown mixed with Abaddon Black is going to look great on him. It's not going to look great on him. So this guy's yellow, so obviously a reddy brown is going to work perfect for him. We're going to get a brush that's seen better days. And I think the mix is probably about 3 to 1 on this. I mean, you'll know it when you see it, but you want to get it so that just a little bit of that reddy brown is poking through, but not too much. You don't want it to look like mud, you don't want it to look like rust. So that's probably not quite dark enough. There we go. A little bit more. Just so it looks very, very, very dark indeed. Then we're going to get a bit of sponge. And the great thing about this process is it doesn't matter whether you're a 12-year-old who's painting your first mech, or you're 60 years old and you're just getting into tabletop after 30 years of being away from it. Anyone can do this. It's really, really simple. And the first time you do it, you'll be amazed with the results. So if you get your bit of sponge and you want to just kind of roll it a little bit so you get a nice nub at the end, because you want to have some control of this. I usually I don't want to waste the paint, so a bit paint on the end, but the trick really is, oops, not the camera. We start dabbing it there. Let's see if we can just see how it kind of comes. You get like an irregular pattern of it. You want enough on so it's actually quite sticky. You don't want it to be too thin, but then you want to be gentle the way you apply it. And think about applying it to areas that are going to have scuffed against buildings, that are going to have been hit by, shells or by big metal fists, or it's fallen over and it's scratched its legs or something. So think about where the damage is going to be. So we're going to be on the edges really. So we're going to just come in straight away. And it's just dab and move, dab and move, dab and move. You can dab in the same place if you want, but we're just going to do as much damage as we think looks good. Keep going back to that and getting it nice, just nice and sticky. There we go. Not afraid, because you're going to be just touching it lightly. And you're not smearing it, you're not wiping it, you're just jabbing it. There we go. You're going in with a shiv. And already we can see that it's given him some character. We don't want to worry too much about it being too much either, because, these are war machines, right? I'm going to go in and just get those corners up there, those corners up there. And then maybe something around the back. I reckon that's probably enough. Yeah, it's probably enough for now. Get something else in there just so we can see something from that angle as well. There we go. Right, so he's looking a little bit beaten up, isn't he? A little bit scuffed up, looking good. And we can do the same thing with this guy here. The same mix will work with him. You might not want to do lots of mechs in a row your first time. You might want to just focus on one, but the reason why I'm moving on is because I want him to dry first and I can show you the next step. So we're just going to do the same with this guy here and just get a little bit of battle damage just on him. It's fun, this, it's therapeutic, and seriously, it's easy. This is for everyone. It doesn't need practice, it's just fun. Oops, I keep knocking the camera, I do apologise. Don't get motion sickness because of me knocking the camera. But already we're like, just give it a bit more character. Make it look like it's, done a bit of a tour already. I'm sure we'll come back and add a bit more onto that one, but for the moment, that'll probably do, just a little bit on him. Okay, so we now want to move on to the silver. Now, if you're doing a big tank, I did say I was going to come mention this. If you're doing like a Land Raider or something, your next step is going to be to do the same with something like this, a lead belcher, which is a kind of a dull silver. And then you do a bit of an edge highlight with something much brighter like Runefang steel, which has a real glint to it. But we're doing little mechs. They're going to be at arm's length most time anyway, so we're going to ignore this stage because it's pointless with these guys, because you'll probably just cover it up anyway when you're at the highlight. So we're going to go straight to the Ringfang steel. Again, if you're not using GW, you just want a glinting silver. Something that will look like bare metal. We're not going to use this one because the sponge will retain a lot of the liquid, it will retain a lot of the paint for a while, so you'll end up with a smeary kind of browny silver, which is rubbish. So we're going to get a new piece. This piece will probably do, so just get it in a nice little shape. So again, we've got that nub that we can kind of get a bit of close control with. It's not great, that one, but you know, it'll do. Let's get some silver. Get some silver out with the brush. Dig in there, get some out. Again, you want enough to be able to get a nice sticky amount on the sponge. Alright. Let's go. Now this is really bright, this stuff, so you'll see it straight away when we put it on the edge. Now we don't want to cover all the brown bits, because what would be the point in that? What we want to do is have a transition from the paint on the actual mech to the kind of ablative, the kind of burnt part, and then to the silver, the exposed silver. So think of it in terms of the exposed silver is kind of an edge highlight on what you've done here. You can see that. Again, it's dilute to taste. You might want to do less, you might want to do more. Depends on how battered you want these things to look. And I reckon that's probably enough for that guy. There we go. And then when that's dry, we'll go in and do the detail work and do the guns. Same thing on this guy, just to give you an example. We do those little, you get those nice glints. I'll tell you a nice, heartwarming story now about why I love this so much. When I was a kid, probably about 12 or 13, didn't really know what miniature gaming was. So innocent. I went in a shop called Preston Games and they had a big tub on the counter full of miniatures. Some Games Workshop ones, Raoul Parther, all kinds of weird things. And I'd dig stuff out, my friends would dig stuff out, we'd take it home, we'd write our own rules, play our own games with them. And you'd find models that had been beautifully painted, but they'd been in this box or they'd been in someone's collection for 20 years and all the metal had flaked off at the corners, it had chipped off. And they looked worn, they looked lived in, they looked like someone had just had a lot of fun with them. And it gave them a bit of a story. And what I love with these mechs is making them look like they're old metal models. So it looks like this is a metal model that's been picked up 1,000 times and the paint on the edges is just rubbed away. So when it's on the table and you see it from a distance, that bit in your brain just says, oh, that's metal, that's a metal mini, that's an old metal mini. Then you pick it up, of course, and it's not. But I love that aspect of it too. It just makes, I don't know, it's a little nostalgia hit for me, really. It looks like a second-hand mini I've found somewhere, and I'm thinking, oh, where's this come from? What game is this from, you know? And that memory's always there, and it's lovely, really. But that's how you do it. That's literally it. I've done quite a lot of the silver on this guy, just so you can see it, but you don't have to do as much. On a little mech, it's going to show a lot more than on a big mech, where you can really go in. I mean, if you look at the shoulder on there, I've really gone in hard with the silver. The bars across the head as well, where the pilot is, it's all silver. So it looks like the paint's just scraped off. So go in really as much as you want. Really scuff them up. Really make them look like they've been somewhere. Now, you notice on the gun I haven't done any silver on there because that's just burn, that's just scorch. But that's how you do it. It's that simple. It doesn't take really any skill. You just need a light touch. You need to get, you know, a nice nub that you can control, and you just need to kind of go in and out just like this. Don't smear, don't rub, just dab and dab and move, and pick out all those parts where you think that the paint just might have come away completely. And if you think you've done too much with the silver, well, you can always go back with the dark brown and go over it. Just remember, if you're doing green, you might want to use a dark green with the black. If you've got a blue mech, you might want to use a purple or a blue with the black, because that reddy brown accent isn't going to look good. It looks great on white, I think. You know, the burn marks, I think, look great on white. You can probably see on the gun. It looks cool on the white, but again, just get the raised edges with it, and that's it. It's literally that simple. You can put as little or as much as you want on the mech. It's entirely up to you. Practice on something big if you want. Practice on a tank. It works on tanks. It works on Space Marines. It works on anything. It's really simple, really easy to do. It's quick, and you know what? The results look really good. So yeah, that's the tutorial, such as it is. Any questions, you know, fire them over, but hopefully that's pretty straightforward. It really, really is an easy, cheap cheat technique to make your mechs look like they've been through hell. Gives them a bit of a story. Yeah, thanks for watching, and again, yeah, let me know if that was if that made sense, and let me know if you have any questions. Cheers.